Let's play with a strange but serious idea for a moment. What if Nigeria never discovered oil? Not one barrel, not a single drop in Oloibiri in 1956. Let's say the land was just as fertile, the people just as vibrant, but under the soil, nothing but sand, rock, and clay. Now, imagine that reality. No oil boom in the 70s, no foreign companies scrambling to build rigs, no militants in the Niger Delta, no pipelines, no gas flaring, no black gold. At first, it feels like you have just robbed Nigeria of its lifeblood, doesn't it? But what if, and stay with me here, what if it is that very oil that robbed Nigeria of its potential? You see, oil came with a promise. Plenty of promises, big ones. It was supposed to be the key to national prosperity. And in the early years, it looked like that dream might just come true. Billions flowed in. Cities began to swell. Politicians started speaking in hard currency. But something else began to grow, quietly, in the background. Complacency. The kind that makes you forget how to fish because someone keeps throwing fish at you every month. Back in the 1960s, just before oil took over, Nigeria was a global agricultural powerhouse. Our groundnuts were famous in Europe, our palm oil-fed industries in the West, our cocoa beans were some of the finest in the world. If you walked through the fields of the Western region back then, you would think you were in some plantation-rich corner of Malaysia. But then, oil happened. And agriculture abandoned, slowly, then all at once. Imagine, if you will, that oil never existed. What would we have built instead? Maybe Ibadan would have become the food processing capital of West Africa. Maybe the Fulani herdsmen wouldn't be wandering in conflict zones, but running export-based dairy farms across the Sahel. Maybe young people today will dream of owning agri-tech startups rather than moving to Canada. And let's not forget tourism. Do you know what Calabar could have been if it had the funding and foresight that oil money gave Abuja? Or Henri Ijesha waterfalls? If it was in Kenya or Rwanda, it would probably have drawn short promotional videos, resort hotels, and guided eco tours. But here, it is a footnote on a Google search. Why? Because oil made foreign exchange too easy, and easy money, as history shows, rarely forces innovation. Now think about politics. Oil turned the federal government into a sugar jar, and everyone else, ants. States stopped generating their own wealth. Local governments stopped being local. We became addicted to federal allocation. This monthly ritual where states gather in Abuja not to trade ideas or policy, but to pick up a check. Oil did not just power cars, it powered the culture of laziness at the top. And in all this, something painful grew: inequality. Especially for the very people whose land bled this oil. Let's talk Niger Delta, a region rich in resources but poor in everything else. Schools, hospitals, clean air, drinkable water, kids born with respiratory issues, rivers that can no longer support life, fish that died before they could be caught. Imagine that irony. You feed a nation, yet you remain hungry. And if oil had never existed, would the Delta be poorer or richer in peace and dignity? And then there is the human capital argument. We talk about unemployment and japa like they are new, but they are the result of a country that forgot how to invest in its people. If oil wasn't there, maybe we would have built our economy like India did, with code, with call centers, with science. Maybe we would have invested in our universities, empowered researchers, made Lagos into a tech heaven, not just a traffic jam. Think of the potential we have shelved. Young people building fintech companies from cafes with poor power supply. Nollywood filmmakers producing global content with zero support. Musicians breaking into Billboard charts from makeshift studios. We are doing all this in spite of the system, not because of it. What if the system had no oil to distract it? What if it had to bet on us? Globally, oil gave Nigeria clout. Sure, it made us a voice in OPEC, got us seats at international tables. But behind that voice, weak infrastructure, broken institutions, and a constant game of crisis control. Oil made us a giant with clay feet. And now, the world is changing. Electric vehicles are rising. Climate change is rerouting global policy. Europe is investing in clean energy. China's moving fast on green tech. Oil is not the future. It is not even the present anymore. Which brings us back to the big question. What if Nigeria had no oil? Would it have hurt? At first, maybe. There will be no quick foreign exchange, no big contracts to inflate, no instant cash out for political elites. But maybe, just maybe, we would have learned how to build from the ground up, not just structures, but systems, institutions, accountability. Without oil, maybe the focus would have been on brains, not barrels, on people, not pipelines. Maybe local governments would actually govern. Maybe states will be first to get creative, generate revenue through industry, not waiting rooms. Maybe, just maybe, we would see governance as service, not access to oil rent. So now the oil is drying up, prices fluctuate, global demand is shifting, oil is slowly walking out of Nigeria's house, and it's not knocking on the door again. And that, my friends, might be the best thing that has ever happened to us. Because the dream of a no-oil Nigeria is no longer fiction. It is becoming our reality. The question is, will we mourn it? Or will we finally build what we should have been building all along? Let's hear from you. What do you think could have been or could still become without oil? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's not just imagine it. Let's talk about it. Let's debate it. Let's build it. What could Nigeria have been without oil?